Come on now. Why are we doing this? It tells me that we're streaming, but I don't see shit anywhere. Oh, there we go. All right, we are live on YouTube. Cool. Please. All right, we are there, but I'm not seeing shit on X. So give me one. So can I even? I can't even. Oh no, there it is. We're live now. That's weird. It's backwards. All right, cool. Here we go. Jake Day, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, man. I've been waiting for this one.
Yeah, brother. Excited to have you on the show, man. Like, it's been on your show a couple of times. Or maybe it wasn't your show. I think it was on Mark's show. Then I was on your show. Talked a whole bunch. We're always talking shit on Free's show, so it's good to finally connect in person, man. Welcome.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I've got the angelic light coming in the window, so
It's
I'm
golden
I'm
hour. You need to take
I'm
out
basking in the golden hour.
a phone and get some Insta stuff content posted. Like, yeah, man, sounds
I
good.
got some good views from up here, but no, I got my little podcast spot with the typical books, and I got my light behind me. This is the better setup than what I have in Washington.
I don't know what it is about podcasts and books. Like I thought, like I'm not because I don't have a background. I don't know if you know, this is my bedroom. This is my curtains. This is my nightstand. My bed's over there. I just happen to have some books right there, and everyone's acting like people have actually accused me of a green screen. Like there's
I think it's a
no
nice
green
little
screen.
setting. It's a great little setting, and when you do enough shows, it just that becomes your background, even if it's not a background. So, like by now, when I watch this show, I expect to see hat backwards, black glasses, and then the nightstand. I mean, it's the staple. I'm used to it.
I got a brand, and I probably got to switch it up because it's getting kind of stale. But I've actually got a
I
plan. I got a plan for a studio. I want to put together like a legit background and kind of upgrade everything. I don't know when I'm gonna do it. I need some time for that. But
I do
I
actually read these books though; they're not props.
got it. Well, I can't read, so these are definitely props. No, but anyway, hey, dude, why don't you introduce yourself? Because my audience is very wide and varied, and they come here for different reasons. So why don't you tell people kind of who Jake Day is, what you're into, and what you're about?
Wow. Well, we could be here all night with that. I've recently started podcasting again with Mark, doing the If by Whiskey show.
Hell of a show.
Um, I am a executive manager in a construction company. I've been in construction for many, many years. Um, been a musician since I was 5. Just got out of the recording studio last week, doing some new stuff. I love anything with a motor in it, cars, motorcycles. I just got off a motorcycle ride about 20 minutes ago.
On the back of the front, where you're riding
Yeah,
behind.
yeah. I was doing the Dumb and Dumber. Um, no, I'm kind of into some sports, more casual than I used to be. Um, yeah, I kind of do a lot of everything, really. I just keep myself really busy. I got a baby on the way. I got a 1-year-old, I got a 10-year-old, and a 22-year-old. So there's a story behind all that too. Um, but yeah, man,
Better man than I.
I stay busy. I stay busy.
Yeah, for real. That's a young person's game, dude. How do you feel about having a kid this stage of life?
Honestly, man, I'm excited about it. I look at things I've done. I've built and sold businesses. I've had minor success in the music business. Like all of those things pale in comparison. Like being a dad has been the best thing I've ever done. And I mean, I'll be 47 this fall, so I'm getting to the end of where I wanted to be. And we kind of gave ourselves a deadline if we were going to have one more, and we literally squeaked it in the last month of our deadline. And
Buzzer beater.
here we go.
Well, congratulations, man. It's always good to see awesome people expanding their families. I think we know that the birth rate's on the decline. Doing your part. That's good, man. Good to see some smart, people that are compassionate and well read and well reasoned. Like I love seeing more of those people in the world. So like anytime I see somebody that's popping out more, I'm just like, hell yeah, dude, that's the way to go.
Well, I'm hoping this one's a boy, but we'll do. I got 3 girls, so if I get my motorcycle buddy, we'll see. But no, man, I appreciate that. I pale in comparison to the smart people you've had on this show, man. I look at the pantheon of guests that you've had, and it was like, damn. I mean, there needs to be so many more eyeballs on this show for the quality of guests that you're getting, me removed.
Yeah, dude, that's how I feel hosting it, man. Like I feel like I'm just running around, just like holding the train of people's gowns behind. Like it's tough to keep up, man, in real time. And like I've seen how it can go sideways. Like when I had Sterling and Stewart go at each other, and I was like, I felt bad, man, because I love both those dudes, and I felt like I just wasn't able to somehow connect the language and connect the concepts and keep it going, and it just went off the rails, man. So it's tough.
Have you had them both back on? I saw you had Stewart on, right? Have you had both of them back on
I
since?
I haven't, I haven't. I've had Sterling. That was his 3rd time on. I think Stewart, that was like 4th or 5th. I've had Stewart on so many times, but he's just such a
Okay.
smart dude, and he's got such a different way of looking at things. I love the fact that people like we were talking backstage, like, captured by an idea. There's
Yeah.
these things that grab people, and I know Stewart definitely got captured by the free energy principle. Carl Friston's free energy principle, and then Michael Levin's work expanding upon it, and I think there's just something and not only that, but I don't know if you know, but, Jaak Panksepp was his mentor, the guy who
Oh,
wrote the book Effective Neuroscience, which is basically like the, holy grail of neuroscience textbooks. And so he's deep into this stuff, and he just sees everything through this like nested scale invariant paradigm and intersubjective. Like he's got this whole mental model mapped out, and it's like his entire world is kind of based off of it. I'm kind of compelled by it. Like I'm looking into it. I'm like, oh, there definitely might be something to it. I'm still skeptical. I don't know. There's always actually, that was a good microcosm when Sterling, he's just in that
yeah.
same boat about microtubules, and Orko R, like that's his thing that he's really captured by. And I think there's value. That's why I love having the podcast. There's so many people got great ideas, and I think there's always some baby and there's always some bathwater to each
For
of them. And trying
sure.
to suss out which is which is real fucking hard, man. Especially when it's like super complex like that.
No, I agree. I mean, it sounds super fascinating. It also sounds completely exhausting. So there's a lot to the that kind of view and looking at things through that lens. But I admire it. I mean, anybody who's like a really deep thinker who's able to still function in society, because it's so hard to be out among the
Normies.
the normies and not, and be able to function at that high level. So hats off for sure.
Yeah, highly functioning autism. That's a real thing, man. That's in our community, man. We got a bunch of them. I don't know what it is about the Liberty community, but boy, it's chock full of them.
I've got what they call low latent inhibition. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Low latent inhibition. Oh, I got to
Yeah.
hear about this. I actually don't know about this. What is this?
So interestingly enough, Jordan Peterson, of all people, when he was still a clinical psychologist, he wrote the white papers on what this is basically.
Really?
Um, Essentially, it's like, and it probably over. There's a Venn diagram, I'm sure, that overlaps with autism. I'm sure there are Asperger's or something, but um, it's the best example I can give is like if you're walking into a building that you walk into every single day. And, most people don't notice, like, if one day they change the door handle, it still opens the same way. Most people will, oh, that door handle, they just go through the door. For me, like, I notice every little difference, every change in that. I can sit in a room and listen to multiple conversations at once and not like I can hear all of them. And it's a weird thing to have. Um, but it's basically like high processing. It's very high processing of information without being. I think I'll actually send you the paper later. It's really fascinating, but it's like you know, most people, I think by default, your brain subconsciously tunes a lot of things out so that you're focused on whatever you're doing. My
Exactly.
brain, my brain doesn't really tune much out. So I can be doing a lot of different things at once and kind of be focused on all of them, which is makes me great at multitasking because most of the time people are not. Um, but I'm extra like super hyper vigilant when it comes to kind of trying to kind of tune into whatever's going around me. But yeah, it's called low latent inhibition. I'll shoot you a link. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I would love to look at that, and I totally get what you're saying, like, I understand it conceptually. I think I have a little bit of that too. I just have it annoys some people, like, I work with my brother-in-law, and he's so structured and rigid and single-threaded, and I'm multi-threaded as fuck. Like, I can literally be in a conversation with him about some deep engineering topic, and I'm also on my phone, I'm slacking people, I'm talking I can do, like, 19 things at one time, and some people just aren't wired that way, and so that totally makes sense.
Now, perfect example. We're in the recording studio this last weekend, and we can get into as much of this as you want, but the group that's recording right now is a band I was in previously when I was from California. When I moved to Seattle in 2012, we stopped playing in like 2011, so it's been 15 years plus. One of the guys in the band I have not seen for 15 years, but anytime we got in a room together, we always wrote songs really well. They just kind of flowed.
Mhm.
So we said, "Hey, let's try this out." They flew up to Seattle. I have a studio that I use. I was like, "Let's try this out. Let's get in the same room and just see if that thing happens that used to happen." And it totally did. But one of the guys in the band is the guy who's, his phone's always on 2%, about to die. He doesn't know where his keys are.
It's me.
Like, everything is completely scattered. He has to put Apple AirTags on everything because he loses everything all the time, and he's completely scattered. I mean, we'll have a conversation, I'll say 3 things in a row, he catches the first one, I gotta repeat the other 2 multiple times, and in the meantime, like, I sit back and I see where he puts his keys down. I see where he puts his guitar down. I see where he dropped his pick over here, and I can't not see it. So then when I see him like doing the like, oh, where is it? I'm like, it's right there. How'd you know I was looking for him? Like, you know, that he's that guy. But that's kind of like the opposite of where I'm at. And I got to be careful because it took me to my probably my 40s to like I ruined relationships of all kinds. Romantic relationships, friend relationships, because for the longest time, like, I thought everybody was like that. And so I would get
Mm.
really frustrated with people like, how do you keep doing the same shit over and over again? And I really had to kind of knock the hubris down and really humble myself because I realized that, everybody's got their different thing. And for me, that's kind of a superpower, but I'm terrible at other things. And it's like I had to kind of look at it through that lens. But yeah, it took a lot to learn to like not be such an asshole about it.
Yeah, that's a weird thing, right? Because I think there's so many people that assume that everybody else's experience of being a human being is exactly like theirs, and I think it's why it's important for us to talk to each other and kind of compare notes. My wife is one of those people. Like she is like, you familiar with HSP? Have you heard of that before? Highly sensitive people.
Oh,
It's wild. I'd never heard of it before either until I found out that it sort of runs in her family. There's something in the biology that's going on, but it comes across as incredibly spooky. Super spooky. These people can feel stuff, and not in the
whoa.
way that regular people feel stuff. Like, number 1, the volume, the intensity of what they feel. Like, if the regular person is operating at, like, a 10, they're, like, at 1,000. Like, it's
Wow.
like exponentially, like, they're just swimming in this sort of sea of feelings all the time, and when they feel happy, it is magnified like 1,000x, and if they're sad, it's like 1,000x, like, they're just super, super sensitive, and I'm not, like, my shit is turned all the way down, like, my feels are barely even, connected at this point, and we can go into
That's where
the
I'm at. Yeah.
reasons for that later, but and it took until I think she was in her like late 30s before she went to somebody who was specializing in this and told her, it's like, no, this is not normal. You are not normal. This is like actually very, very rare. You're in the top point dot 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 percent or whatever of people, and the other people in this world don't have this experience. And she was just like shocked. Like, I thought everybody was like this. And so she would go around, like you said, assuming like people were just being assholes and like, like, how can you not? And everyone else is like,
Yeah.
yo,
Yeah.
we don't have this sixth sense, homie. Like we don't do things the way you do. And that's been something that's been really interesting to sort of get through relationally, because like now I'm aware of it, and also my kids have it too. All my
Oh, wow.
daughters, yeah, to varying degrees. One of them has it like super high, and then it kind of falls off for the other two. But it's weird because they know that I know, and it's like it's we all know what's going on here, and it's almost like it feels like an invasion, right? Because you're supposed to be able to be safe in your own head and in your own feelings, like you should just, because I'm a
Yeah.
great person. Like most of the time, 99% of the time you see me, just like this, I'm the same guy every day. I could be having the best day of my life, worst day of my life. You get the same Brent day in, day out for the most part. But they are instantly like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
What's good? And like
Yeah.
anybody else would be looking at me as like thinking everything's completely fine, but they can feel it. Or it's really creepy and it feels invasive, and that's been one of those things that you almost have to realize, like, I kind of explained to my wife, it's like imagine you had like those X-ray glasses where you can see everybody naked. It's like everyone's just walking around and thinking that everyone's got normal vision, and here you are able to peer into everybody's souls, and like it ain't normal,
That
man.
I mean, that sounds like a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Mostly a curse. Like,
Yeah.
after analyzing this, I would not wish this on anybody because they can't go out in public. This is a weird thing because when they go out, particularly in crowds, they love to do it when it's like a concert. When people are feeling good, like, when people are having a great time, they love that because it's almost like a parasitic vampirism. They're just
Okay.
so soaking in all of these good vibes, man. They're just riding a high. But they go out just in daily life, and you know what daily life is, man. It sucks. People are dealing with shit. My mom's got cancer, like
Yeah.
my dog died, like all of those things that the rest of us, we can't see because everybody else masks them, because we have this socially acceptable mask we put on because we got to go fill up the tank and get fucking grocery, we're just doing
Yeah.
our thing. But they can feel all these people that are having all these hard struggles and are going through different issues and stuff, and it's like it's hard. It's like a burden. It sticks to them. There's something sticky about it to them that
I was
just
gonna
sort of
say,
like,
that sounds tiring. That sounds exhausting.
which is why oftentimes highly sensitive people are introverts, because they want to. It's not like they are afraid. They're like, socially awkward or afraid of being in social situations, but they've got to recharge their social batteries because when they go out, it's most of the time draining to them. Like to them, it's just sucking their, because they're constantly managing all this emotional stuff around them that I just swim through. I'm just unaware. It's like, water off a duck's back, man. I'm just swimming through it. And it just drains them. So they have to like go retreat. They have to have their neutral space where they sort of cleanse like
Yeah.
everything's got to be, they're really particular about keeping everything cordoned off and the vibes, happy and all this stuff. And I'm just like, this is weird to me. Like, I'm like, dude, I can't understand what it's like. So my point is, like, I think there's a lot of different ways you slice people like that. And we all just walk around thinking like the way we live and the way we feel, the way we experience life is just the way it is for everybody. I think it's a big mistake.
No, it definitely is, and contrary to that, like, so that is my experience and the way I see stuff, but at the same time, my keel or whatever you call it is neutral. Like, I'm like you in that way where I could be having an amazing time and I could be having a shitty day and I'm just like this. It just I internalize it all. I'm constantly like that's another part of the low latent inhibition is like I'm constantly going through what if scenarios in my head. Like any decision I make, I have an A, B, C, D option. Like there's never a like, oh, I'm just going to try this. Everything is completely thought out and I can't turn that part off. So it's not like I can just be like, oh, I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and try this thing. I'm not capable of doing that. So I'm
That's
with you
fun.
on
That's funny in that you've got a bandmate that's the opposite, because what I've found is really funny because what you're describing really sounds like my brother-in-law. Like he's so much like you. Like he's got contingency plans out the wazoo and he's very careful about how he proceeds and all this stuff. And I'm like, fucking YOLO, let's go. Like I ride on instincts, I can ride on gut feeling, I can just and he has come to appreciate it. We had a business together, and we jokingly referred to me as the gas and him the brakes. And it's like, he's like, dude, if it were up to me, we'd never leave the parking lot. I would be sitting in the parking lot the entire time, and I'd be mapping out everything and driving myself crazy in this anxiety spiral of how we're gonna organize, and like, and I'm just like all gas. I'm like, let's fucking go. We'll figure it out as we move along. And we kind of found this happy medium. And I think when you collaborate with somebody, as long as you like respect them and as long as you understand they're different, a different type of human, and you figure out how to mesh your different approaches, your different
yeah.
energies, I think some really cool stuff can come out of mixing those things together.
It took a lot, man, like, there was other bands that I was in where I was, I was the front man, I was the singer and guitar player and I burned some bridges because I was a prick, like, I wanted everything my way, it had to be this way, we're all about doing it this way, and I
You
definitely burned some bridges. I've had to learn to dial that back and meet people where they're at and accept people for what they bring to the table and that kind of thing. I think the saving grace for me personally is I'm really adventurous too. So
mm,
I do calculate a lot of stuff out. I used to be the guy that had the itinerary for every trip. I don't do that anymore. I have a couple ideas of what I want to do, but I've learned to kind of put up some navigational beacons, if you will, but just kind of drift in between them. But I'm always like I'm down for anything just about at any time. I'm pretty adventurous when it comes like I'll do anything once, maybe twice, and just to have the experience of doing it. So I definitely don't have a paralysis when it comes to decision making or something, but I definitely examine the shit out of everything to the nth degree.
So, talk me through your process for creating music then. Like, I'm always interested in how people make art, and I'm not. I think I probably told you. Like, I'm friends with Brian Swindle. He's a front man of Have Mercy, and it's actually work with him as well. Um, and I always like to sort of ask people because it seems like every artist has a different approach to it, and I'm fascinated at sort of like how they, sort of create the spontaneously just create these songs out of nothing. Like to me, that just feels like magic.
Sometimes it feels like magic, to be honest with you. And every it's like the sum of the parts. So every band I've been in has had a different energy and a different kind of way of approaching it. Um, I myself, I've done stuff where I've recorded albums where I just did everything by myself. So I have complete control of every little thing that happens, but then you don't get any other input. It's like you have just this in my head, this is going to be great. If it comes out great, awesome. But if it comes out like shit, there was nobody along the way to tell you like that sucks. Don't do that. Um, but with these guys, like, you know, there's we're all so different. It used to be a four-piece band, and when the band kind of broke up and I moved to Seattle, um, one guy moved to Texas, one guy stayed in LA. We don't play live, and that's the thing. Is like after COVID hit. Okay, so let me back up. I'll finish this first and remind me about COVID. Um, we get into a room and one guy's like a classically trained style, Beatles fan, um, pulls everything just the most obscure. Oh, I remember this lick from this song. One guy's total metalhead, the super forgetful guy, complete metalhead, punk metal, just thrash. Yeah, bro, like that guy. Me, like I started playing drums because of John Bonham from Led Zeppelin. Like I
Mm.
heard him play drums and I was like, I have to learn how to do that. So I have a giant swath of stuff. I mean, from jazz to punk to metal. So the way we write something is we kind of just one of us will just start playing something, and the other one of them be like, "Oh, hey, keep doing that. I like that." Then they have this thing and they add to it, and then this other guy adds to it. There's a track that I sent to Rob today, actually, Rob Yates. We did a song the other day. So we showed up in the studio. The whole premise of this trip to the studio was we had old songs that we had written that we never really recorded properly. So we did that the last couple years. But this was like, hey, they're gonna fly to Seattle. We're gonna get in a room. Whatever happens, happens. If we have one song, great. If we have 10 songs, great. So we ended up with three. But this one in particular that I sent to Rob, like I literally just started playing something on the drums. And it was just kind of this like almost hip hop style beat, which I normally don't really play, but it would just click for some reason. And then the one guy starts playing something like completely unexpected, almost like it sounds like he's playing like a sample. And then this other guy chimes in with like this super funky, like disco style bass line. And it just turned into this thing that if you separated the parts, it would all be like, oh, whatever. But you put it together and all of a sudden it worked. And that is one that was like magic for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Like, I've heard, like most of my philosophical, inputs around creative stuff comes from Rick Rubin, straight up. Like, his book Creative Act was amazing to me, and I think it transcends just music and art and that type of media. I think, I deploy the things that I've learned in that book in engineering and tech, and it sounds
Oh, yeah,
weird, but I do all the damn time, and I think there's just is something that you tap into, and being an atheist, I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I'm convinced that the shit's there. There's something going on there where there's this information, however it comes to be, just channels through you. Like, it's like you're kind of like a vessel. Like, even though, by any neuroscientific account, you could probably put an fMRI in your brain and see, like, but it feels like there's something different. There's something transcendent to it, and I
sure.
believe that it's real. I wish I knew exactly what was being tapped into, because like, I think, when you've had those sparks, when it just like lightning bolts, like, oh, the shit just happened. Like, I was doing nothing over here a minute ago, everything was normal, and then the thing happened, and then it'll just go, then it's gone. It's like these things just sort of come out of nowhere, and it's a very very difficult thing for me to process, being a rational person. I'm always trying to, like, reverse engineer, like, am I tricking myself? Did I, like, I can't figure it out, but it seems like there's something definitely to it.
I'm skeptical about everything in life except music for whatever reason, like, and maybe it's because of being a part of it for so long, but like, I'm skeptical. You show me anything that's supernatural, anything that's like a woo woo, whatever you want to call it, I'm like, yeah, bullshit. There's an explanation for it. Either a scientific explanation for it, there's a mental explanation for it. Your brain's doing playing tricks on it, whatever. But when it comes to music, I just let it go, let it happen.
Yeah, and it's weird too, because music seems to have this, like, eerie power to, like, bring people together. That's kind of like what it is. It's such a weird concept when you really think about it, that you've got you guys sitting in a room and you just start coming up with stuff, and then when you think that it's ready for the world, you put it out there, and then people vibe with it, and then they want to get together. That's the weird thing about humans. We all want to
Yeah,
get together and, like, watch monkey play song, and then while you're playing it, they're going to be singing it back to you. And there's, like, if you've been to those concerts where it's just like this energy, like, it magnifies, like, whatever the artist is putting out, the whole crowd is putting back, and the whole thing is like, there's something deep going on there, and it's really powerful. And that's why I love music, because it just really does seem to, bring people together. It obviously divides people too, as far as, I don't like this, I don't like that, I want this genre, I don't want that genre. But of the people who, are liking that music and are vibing with it, there's just something real powerful about getting them together in the same spot.
no, I completely agree, and it's like when you try and explain things, I think the hindrance to be able to explain is language, right? Like, you can
Mm.
have conceptual ideas, but where it gets tricky or roadblocked is when you're trying to put it into words, and I think music is a language in and of itself, and it transcends words. So music is like, it can move you at a core level because there's so many things. There's pattern recognition, of course. Your brain's recognizing patterns, but then there's melodies, there's harmonies, there's frequencies, there's all these things that, again, I can't explain, but I can convey how I feel to somebody by playing them a song most of the time better than I can trying to explain myself.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. And what that's interesting too, you said there's, like, patterns. Like, we kind of there's a element where makes you wanna move your body, and then we wanna have that rhythm and the expected thing. But I think that when there's something unexpected happens in the mix, the part's different, it's something that was unique and interesting that you weren't expecting, that's something that people sort of latch onto as well.
Totally, and the things that move some people don't move others. That's the most fascinating part. Is like, I can hear something that makes me like just stop where I'm at and go, oh my god, and play it for someone else. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. Like, what? How do you not connect with this? Like, no, it's fine.
Here's a good example for what I mean. Like, this band doesn't make any fucking sense. System of a Down
Yeah, yeah.
makes absolutely no, like, Armenian folk music mixed with metal, mixed with, like, it's the weirdest shit. And if you would have, told anybody just
Mixed with
verbally,
cocaine,
mixed
lots
with
of cocaine.
yeah, for real, dude. But if you would have told somebody, like, if you were just explaining, they're not listening to music, like, "Hey, I'm making the pitch." Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pitch this band. Let me tell you about them." Like, 100% of the time, they'd be walked out of the building. They'd be like, "No, get the fuck out of here. We're not doing that." And it's like one of the best bands ever. They're fucking great.
Well, they were. I mean, I don't know how much you know about it, but they were walked out of the building quite a bit. So There was a girl I dated back in my younger years who was like a waitress at Denny's, whatever, one of those Denny's all night, whatever, in Hollywood. And she would talk about these. She's like, these guys would come in every night. They were super quiet. They drink coffee. And she's like, they just they didn't say much. They always would come in. She was then one time they came in, they're like, oh, we got we something with the record deal. Like, really? Like, what are you talking about? Oh, and it turns out it was System of a Down. It was just coming
Wow.
in every Friday night because they were out hitting the clubs trying to play, and they just got rejected all the time by anybody in the business. And there's a billion stories like that, but they're a great example, like you said, of like there's no way on paper that works,
Did
and
you
all of a
hear this?
sudden it does.
Sorry to interrupt. Did you hear that story where K Rock said we will never play System of a Down?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's and by the way, K Rock's like the biggest station in LA, and then they were the radio station that made all of these up and coming artists, and they vowed they would never play System of a Down, and I think within a year or two, they were the number one number one act on the channel.
They were the band, they were the station that broke Sublime. They played Date Rape before anybody would play it, and then all of a sudden it blew up. And now if you put that song on the radio, my god, you'd lose your FCC license for some reason.
Man, isn't it weird that there's still FCC licenses? Sorry, I hate to, uh,
It's such a holdover from the past. It's so dumb.
it's so wild, and like the world's moved on. You know, it's like broadcasting. I get it. Like bandwidth was very expensive back in the day. You know, like it was very very expensive to get any sort of time on the airwaves. But it's like it's ubiquitous now. It's been ubiquitous for 25 years, man. Like catch
Yeah.
up. I can't believe. And then you have Trump is like, I'm threatening to take away your license because you're fake news. Every time he says it, I'm always kind of like, there's licenses for this shit. Like, what are you doing?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Take it away. They'll just go on YouTube. I mean, the FCC's got even walkie-talkie. I mean, every little anything that transmits a signal, FCC has a license for it. It's crazy.
Yeah, you know why? Have you ever
I
read
mean,
what the FCC have you ever read any of your any of your equipment that's electronic? Do you know what the rules are around it?
not enough to be educated on. I mean, I've glanced at it before. I'm aware that like the presence of the FCC and everything, but no.
It's one of the rules is that it has to accept interference. From
Oh,
so
weird.
just yeah, read it. Look up the FCC guidelines. So, it has to broadcast only in specified frequencies, and then it has to accept, interference, uh, for basically from the government. Like, if the government is sending a
Right.
signal to it, it has to accept it to be shut down or interfered with or whatever. That's just part of the whole but in my previous life, I used to make radio equipment, like millimeter wave, microwave,
Oh, wow.
telecommunications, radio stuff for a big startup when the FCC deregulated kind of around the time of the dot-com boom. I don't know if you remember any of that. There was something called CLECs that were out there, competitive local exchange carriers. This is where they broke up the big bell companies and had these sort of
Okay.
regional
Yeah, yeah.
comp. And instead of using like fiber optic and copper cable, like they were just doing radio. That was one of the big things. So anyway, that was just one of my history things. And but that's where my brain works. You just saw it in action right now. I start chasing squirrels, and we end up like 5 topics off course.
No,
Welcome to my
man, it's
show.
good. It's good.
Well, you wanted you mentioned the spooky stuff, and I know that we talked backstage, and I want to talk about this, man. Moving to Tennessee, been fucking wild, and there's been some shit that's going on in my house, and I don't know what to make of it. And so, I want to say, well, actually, I know exactly when it was. It was the night that United States attacked Iran. So
Oh, wow.
it happened that night, and I'm laying in my bed, and I got woken up out of a deep sleep, and just you ever those things where you just wake up and you're wide awake?
Oh, yeah.
Woke up wide awake, and I was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And I checked my phone, and it was 3:33 in the morning.
Ooh,
That was my first
okay.
clue. So I'm like, "Okay, that's a little bit." I kind of like, "Oh, that's weird," you know. I'm like, then I looked on my phone and I was like, "Oh shit, fucking this stuff's popping off in Iran." That was like literally over that night is when all that bombing started. And I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh, you know me, man." I'm like, "Oh fuck." Well, I saw this coming, but here we are. We're going to
And then
war.
you're like,
Shit.
"Now I'm up."
Now I'm up, but I gotta pee, man. It's 3:30 in the morning, and I go. There's like this door that leads into my bathroom over here, and so I open it up and I sort of walk in the door and I leave. I'm a Jack Cruz, devotee. I'm a very much anti blue light after certain hours, and I keep everything off, especially in the middle of the night, so I don't fuck with my melatonin. And I walked in the bathroom and there's like this. There's a bathtub to the left, and there's this big picture window over the bathtub, and it's got frosted glass in it, you know? And there's just ambient light sort of just coming in from the outside, from the moon or whatever. And at the corner of my eye, I thought I saw something, but
Uh-oh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm just like, whatever. I walked to the bathroom, went pee, and I was thinking, okay, maybe saw some things, shadow or whatever. So I get done, and I walk back out there, and I just looking at this picture window, and there is, I don't know what to describe it. I would call it like an alien, but it was like super, like the show. It was a full. I'll actually send. I'll text this to you offline because I actually drew, like, I took a picture of the window, and then I drew with like the marker or the highlighter what it
Oh,
looked
wow.
like. But it had like this skinny head. It was narrow. I'm talking like several inches, maybe 6 inches wide, but it was like tall. It was like 3 or 4 human heads tall. And then it had very narrow shoulders that might have been 10 inches, maybe 12 inches across. And it was standing like back a ways from the window. And I just stood there, I'm just flabbergasted, and, like, you know my story, I'm an atheist, I'm not, like, a paranormal or cryptid dude, like, that's never been my fucking jam. I always kinda made fun of those people a little bit. I think some are a little bit wacky. But, I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, you're doing the analysis. I'm like, "Okay, is there something in my neighbor's house is next to me? Is there something that is standing up in the
Yeah,
yard that's I'm going through all the scenarios, but I'm watching this fucking thing,
and that was
and
the same
it's
thing you saw on the way in to the
yeah,
bathroom?
yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta
Basically, I just saw it as I walked up, and I just did that thing where I was like, well, also, by the way, there's rules in Appalachia. There's rules, and there's you don't whistle after dark, and if you saw something or you heard something, no, you didn't. Like, there's a bunch of things that you're not supposed to do,
'kay.
and so I just kind of did that thing, like, okay. But when I came back, I couldn't help myself. I'm just looking at this. I'm just staring at it, and I'm watching it, and it's moving like a person would move. Like, how you're just standing there and there's a little bit of a sway and a little bit of drift.
Yeah.
And not only was it side to side, but like the head would turn and it would have
Oh,
the profile would change to the point where I've got my fucking goosebumps are forming now. But like, I'm watching this thing and it's like, there's a fucking, and it's not a I'm like, it's not a person. There's something on the other side of that glass. I'm staring right at it. It's looking right at me. And I'm just like, "What the fuck do you," like, what do you do at that point? Honestly, I'm like, "Okay," so I'm staring at it, then I'm, like, thinking about the Appalachian rules. I'm like, "Okay," so I just went back in my room, and I started closing the door, but I kinda cracked it open. I was just staring at it to see if it would move, and I was, like, watching it, and it's just standing there.
dude, that's so
Just
freaky.
fucking standing there. So then I shut the door, then I went on Twitter for a little bit, and I started checking up on the war stuff, and I'm like, "Please go away, please go away." And then I went back and peeked in again maybe 5 minutes later, and it was gone. And
Dude,
I'm like,
that's freaky.
"That's really fucking freaky." And I started asking all these people, and I started going even, like, on AI, asking, like, "What tell me about this is where I live, tell me about the reported, cryptid type of things that are around here." And I was, like, going down the rabbit hole trying to figure out what the hell it might have been, and I still have no explanation for it. And so, it was what? 2 nights ago now. So there was a big gap, like, there was nothing that happened. 2 nights ago, I'm sitting in bed and I'm same thing, but I was just on Twitter or whatever, my phone, just chilling out, and then I hear in that same bathroom what sounds like a finger, like, you know how when you tap on drywall with a finger, it makes a real distinct noise?
Absolutely.
It was fucking loud. It was like bang, 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 bang. The point where I was like, and that's weird because, like, you if you think about something that would be traditionally paranormal, it's just like it didn't sound like that. It just sounded like a person doing something in there, you know? And so I sat and did the same thing. Like, you heard something? No, you didn't. I'm just sitting here, go away. I'm just pretend like I'm not reacting to it. And then it went back again. It was like 8, 9, 10, 12 taps. Bam, 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 bam. And so I just walk in the door, expecting literally to see anything in there. I don't know what the fuck it was. Turn on the light. There's absolutely nothing in there. And then I hear laundry room. My daughter was doing laundry, which is kind of connected or like on the backside of that wall in my closet. And but I'm just hearing like things that are clinking. Just it didn't sound anything like it. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to troubleshoot. Like, what the fuck could this be? And finally, I gave up and I walked out. And she was coming from the laundry room with the laundry basket under her arm. We met kind of in that the base of the stairs. We have a 2-story house. Her room's upstairs, and she's got eyes as big as saucers. And
Oh,
she's like, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, You heard that too?" She's like, "Yeah." So basically, she was coming down the stairs, and that the stairs are on the other side of that wall in my bathroom.
Okay.
And so she heard it banging on the wall at her as she was coming down the stairs the first time.
What?
And so then we're standing out there in that room, and we have this big two-story, kind of like a great room type of thing, and we're standing there talking about it. And we've got in the back corner where the fucking alien thing was, we've got one of those motion detector lights, that floodlights that turns on. And so as we're talking about it, the fucking floodlight turns on. And we just look outside and we're just like, oh shit. So anyway, that's my story. I don't have any of them besides that. Like I've never had
And
any like
that was 2 days ago?
that was like 2 days ago. Yeah.
Damn. Well, you have to keep me updated if that happens again. That you got some it doesn't sound like it's over. If it's something that's gonna like it sounds like it's gonna happen again. It's not that ain't over
I
yet.
it definitely feels like it's not over. But it's definitely jarring. It's unsettling. And then I start wondering what's out there in the world, man. Like there's so much stuff that we don't understand that's going on, and you wonder like do these religious people that came up with some of these things, these ancient tales that get passed along. I mean, there's probably a whole bunch of bullshit tied to it and a bunch of mythology that gets embedded in it, but I wonder, man,
Sure.
if that core nugget is in some of that stuff is like really really real. We just haven't figured out what the hell this stuff is yet.
That's kinda where I tend to go, but I'm such a skeptic. Like, I look at I look at, like, almost all religions, actually all religions. I think they're doing their best attempt to explain something that they can't explain, but I don't think that any of them are accurate. And I that some of the tenets of, love your neighbor, be a good person, all that stuff, yes. But I think that's a deeper truth that is universal, and it doesn't apply to any religion. It applies to all of them. It's like one of the universal laws, I feel like. And I look at I don't know how deep you want to get, but I look at the universe and I go, okay, I don't I don't believe this was created with intent. Like I don't think this is a thing that somebody decided to make. The universe is so random and there's so many things that make no sense. And yes, people will say, well, there's all these things that go together. And I go, yes, but it's also been how many billions of years too, right? So I'm more of the mind where I feel like there really isn't a beginning or an end because we as humans like are so set on time. We're so
Yes.
wrapped up in time. And I think that time is completely irrelevant. And I think that I feel like the universe starts and stops in cycles. Like I think the Big Bang, whatever you want to call it, was just another launching into another cycle, and eventually the universe is going to cool, condense, collapse on itself, and then it's going to do it again. And I'm not a scientist by any stretch, but I really feel like that is the pattern here. And
Well, you
I
know who
think
is a
that
scientist? Sorry to interrupt. You know who is a scientist? A really fucking
who-
good one? Sir Roger Penrose. Sir Roger Penrose, he's the Orc OR dude. He does that on the side of his
yeah,
desk, but he's literally, Nobel Prize winning cosmologist. Like he's really good at astrophysics. And he's got something called orange theory, and that's exactly what you described. That there's just no beginning and no end. It just all sort of repeats infinitely, And so I think that intuition you're having is probably right, and I share the same thing. Either this universe repeats, or there's like some fractal nature where the end of this universe sort of flows into the beginning of another one somehow.
sure,
It
sure.
and obviously having the psychedelic experiences I've had, like that completely comports with some of the experiences that I've had. Like I think that there's something weird going on like that, but I think you're right. Human beings want to have this, creation, this beginning. All the creation myths sort of start the same way. There's this God that sort of lives outside of time and space that sort of decides if an inventor were like, I'm going to create this thing, right? Like and I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I talk to people a lot about this, have you heard the infinite regress problem?
No.
Yes, the infinite regress problem kind of goes. They claim causality, right? Because anything that begins to exist must have a cause. Like that's what it's called
Okay.
the Kalam cosmological argument. And so they posit that the universe had a beginning, therefore it had to be created by something. But then there's the infinite regress problem, which is like, okay, well, if everything has to have a cause, and everything that began to exist has to have a cause, then there has to be something that didn't have a cause, right? That didn't, and that they call that God, right? Because that's how they escaped the infinite regress problem. Otherwise, whatever created this universe, the thing before that had to be it was like, God one, God two, God three, like
Sure.
this backward linear progression of sort of creation. And I think that this model that we're talking about, you sort of escape that. Time and space are clearly linked. And you get back to like very early inflationary period after the Big Bang, and the concept of time doesn't even make any sense anymore. And so everything, all the laws of physics start to break down, and nobody has a freaking clue. But I think that this idea that you have to anthropomorphize some sort of man in the sky that's doing science experiments, popping universes into existence, that's just, it seems silly to me. It
It seems silly to me too, but then and again, I just observe people and looking at people, like, I think that people, it's their way to, like, feel like something, to make something make sense to them, and I think that's what religion is, honestly, is, like, people that couldn't make sense of this thing, that maybe they had an intuition, maybe they saw people outside their frosted windows, and they orally relate it and gave it meaning, and it turned in, that's what I think turned into, like, organized, like, canonized religion. And for me, like, I'm not a nihilist by any stretch, but I'm completely okay with all of this having no point. I'm completely fine with it because I genuinely believe, like, it's what you make of it. It's what you do with the connections you have, the people you know, how you spend your time, even if time is irrelevant. Like, the things that you do, it's not about any of that other stuff. And it's not, if there is no point to this, it's okay. It's not, oh, there's no point, so fuck everything, let's blow it all up. I'm very much, like, at peace with there being no point to the universe and it being completely random. And if we are just a species that made it in this little window of time because the planet's the right distance, great. And I also am okay with it being a simulation into something else. Like, it, the starting and stop, that orange theory you're explaining, like, that could be a simulation from some other thing. And the thing that gets thrown back to me all the time is like, "Oh, well, if you would admit that maybe something created simulation, that you can't talk about God." It's like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the God in the Bible, the Buddha, like, the ones that people have created. I'm not with that. And, there's so much evidence, archaeologically, that's not the right word, but there's evidence of thousands of years ago, when one group would kind of take over another group, they would absorb their holidays, they would absorb their traditions, they would absorb, and all this allegory is formed. I mean, there's so many characters in mythology and religion that have the same story as Jesus. And
Yep, yep.
I'm fine with that. Like, and I don't begrudge anybody their religion. Like, if that's what people need or want to make themselves feel like they're part of something, absolutely have at it. It just doesn't, it has zero effect on me. And it kills my parents because they're both very religious and they worry about me, kind of thing. But I'm just not that. I don't want to get too far off the rails here, but, like, I really feel like it's at such a high level that we can't understand what it is, and it is just gonna keep going no matter what. And whatever we do, if we blow up the planet with nukes, doesn't matter, has no effect on any of that in the big picture.
Yeah, you said a lot. So one is the temporal nature of anything. And I think that a lot of people do fall into nihilism, like, oh, the universe is gonna have a heat death eventually anyway, so what's the fucking point? It's like, that's so dumb, right? Because that's like saying, like, why would anyone ever go watch a movie when it's just gonna be over in 2.5 hours?
Yeah,
Who
or
the
why
fuck
get out
keeps
of
that?
bed?
Yeah, yeah, it's so dumb. I hate that, and I do think that religion is a buttress against nihilism, because I think nihilism can be a pit that a lot of people fall into. I've seen that, and just sort of Reddit atheist assholery. Like, for some reason, that seems to catch a lot of people too. I'm really annoyed by those folks. But you know, the whole temporal nature of things. It's like, God, are you telling me, like, I can't have meaning? I can't find my own meaning in this world. Like that's dumb because human beings are meaning making factories. That's what we
Yep.
do. Like
Yep.
everything we do. And, Jordan Peterson is huge on that and symbology and literature and story narrative, all these things that have been passed along. Like human beings think in narratives. We analyze things collectively in narratives. And I think to sort of poo poo that and just be like, oh, if you you without a god, we could just never find meaning. I think it's just dumb. That's just straight up dumb.
I agree. It's super short-sighted. It's like finding your first, nugget of gold and then be like, "All right, I'm good." Like there's so much more that's a bad analogy, but there's so much more to it than just to be kind of satisfied with that answer. And I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, no. I think the other thing is like I don't think a religion is unidimensional, right? So you kind of talked about one aspect of it, which I think it does have some explanatory power. When you're a fucking caveman and you don't understand
Sure.
anything about how the world works, I think there's pattern recognition. I think some of these people that came up with curses and all stuff that was really just diseases transmitting between tribes and that sort of thing. Like when we didn't understand this, you would pick up on a pattern. Like, oh, I came in contact with this other, and then all of a sudden my family all died. Like it's not hard to sort of connect dots. And I think
Yeah.
religion does a bunch of that, where you create this container, even though it's a bad explanation. It's the wrong explanation sometimes for things, but it works sometimes. It's like the Brett Weinstein, literally false but metaphorically true. Right? It has some utility, it has some purpose. Cool. So they sort of rally around it. This thing seems to be working for us, and it causes people to stop asking fucking questions. It's like a little child like is that why? Because God did it.
Yeah.
Like that's a satisfying answer for people so they can go living their life. But especially when resources were so constrained historically, go out and hunt the fucking deer and bring it back so everybody can eat. Can you stop asking questions? We don't need
Right.
philosophers right now. We need to feed everybody. So I think, there's that benefit of it. But I also think, and I've at times been not appreciating this fact with religion, as I think it's very good for. Obviously, it has to be good because we all evolved with religion. Like ubiquitously, human beings evolved religion. It has a function. There's
Yeah.
something with social cohesion, managing disputes between people, setting up moral and ethical guidelines. Like I think there's important things, and I think religions, as natural selection does, have tinkered with things, and that's why I think as you mentioned, the Jesus story, the Messiah story that keeps repeating, that same archetype repeats with different faces and different, they try on a little bit different thing here, and then over time, the ones that are the most beneficial, I think, aggregate and sort of rise to the top. It's a standard
Yep.
hierarchy. So you have
Yep.
Christianity and Judaism and Islam being the top pillars, and then you have the Hinduism, and like that's what's sort of over time is all distilled and crystallized into stuff that kind of works, societally. And I think, like you said, it amalgamates a whole mess of human history into like a concise story that's easy to teach to a child, that answers most of their major existential questions and causes
Yep.
people to shut the fuck up and get busy doing what they need to get done,
Yep.
work wise.
Now it works to a point too, but then you get to the point where it's like when you get to be like fundamentalist about it, and you're like, well,
Mm.
my God gave me this piece of dirt, and I'm supposed to do this thing, and now you start killing people because your God's different than their God, and it's like that to me is so anti what religion is trying to teach. It's like, all right, I guess, but that's human nature. That's the human part of it. And to your point, like religion, I think used to fill the gaps in when people were shepherds, chasing sheep around the desert. They needed to make sense of what was going on, and it makes more sense to give, anthropomorphize things, or to give meaning to something where maybe there isn't, or when something floods and and it's red because there's a bunch of iron in the dirt. Oh, well, it was like blood, and it means this. Like I can understand how those dots get connected. And it doesn't mean that science is the answer for everything, because there's things that science can't answer. But at this point now, I don't think it's hubris to look at that and go, okay, but you didn't know what the fuck was going on. We kind of have a decent idea of what's going on to a point, to at least know that I don't think that's it. But
Yeah, I completely agree. And here's another aspect of it too that I think there's a lot of this stuff that we talked about how it evolved into the narratives and the stories and the deities that they've worshipped, but I think there's also this component too where human beings got involved in it and started polluting it for power reasons. I think they
Yeah.
figured out if I'm the priestly class,
Yep.
I get to say what the mind of God is, and I can tell you what the creator, the almighty, right, is thinking and wants you to do and how he wants you to rub your gross bits together or not. Like I can dictate at that point. And I think people will manipulate that all the time for the
Oh,
worse. I
for
think this
sure.
is like you look at cults, like Joe Rogan talks about this all the time. Like there's always some cult leader, and you know, give it 9 months and he's fucking everyone's wives, and like it
Yep.
they can
And
manipulate.
there's no shortage of dumb people to go along with that. That's the thing. It's like it's an endless supply of morons who are like who don't whose life doesn't make sense. They can't connect any dots, and so they just, all right, I give up. I'm gonna go follow this dude in the robe and drink the Kool-Aid. And like uh, there'll never not be those people.
Yeah, and I think that's evolved too. I think that we have to realize that like how dumb half of the people are, you know? It's like it's pretty dumb, you know, and then people need to be able to follow people. I think the people who are smart, who are charismatic, unfortunately, psychopaths can manipulate that stuff, but they
Sure.
want to follow, so they want to believe. You look at all these fucking voters, these retarded politicians who they admit, like, there's jokes. We have running jokes about how politicians all lie and how they're all full of shit and they're all pedophiles and they're all whatever, right? And yet people still show up to vote for them every single time because they want a leader. They so were like, I don't want to do this decision on my own. I would rather just follow the herd and, you know, hope that everything works out okay. I think that's baked into us somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's that tribal, like the big monkey in charge kind of thing. Like it just it's built in at a level I don't think we can extract. I don't think we can separate ourselves from it.
No, that's a really sad thought too. Being an anarchist, and I'm just like, hey, everybody, how about we just not vote? How about we just have some voluntary arranging of society? How about we try that for once? And the whole world's like, fuck no. Like we have pedophiles running the entire government, and they're compromised by a foreign nation state, and we're starting World War III, and we're bombing, you know, girls' schools halfway around the world, and everyone's just like, yeah, we'll keep doing that, I guess. Like to me, that just it blows my mind.
No, I'm right there with you, and I wish like I I don't want anything bad to happen. Of course, I don't want a big giant tragedy to happen. But there's no way that we're gonna get to shake the snow globe or shake the etch a sketch and try a voluntary society until
Mhm.
something catastrophic happens, or unless we find a way to create Earth and we can build an island in the middle of the South Pacific and be like, look, this is Anarchy Island right here. If you want to play by no rules, but these rules, come on over. But there's we're out the world's out of real estate. Everybody owns something, so there's no way to plant a flag in there, you know, and until we get there, until something like that happens, I think we're doomed to be in this pattern because enough people take comfort in the the structure of it. Even if it's fucked up, even if it's flawed, even if they know it doesn't work, they know that they can set their watch by elections, that by these cycles, and it brings people a comfort that they don't want to part with. And when I talk to people about anarchy and libertarianism, it's like I always have to explain like true freedom, like actual freedom is messy. Like
Mhm.
it is not a beautiful utopian thing. Like it's messy. And you have to want to embrace that mess to truly be free. And if you don't want actual freedom and you want safety, that's okay, but you don't get both. Both don't exist. And that's the biggest thing that I think that I find myself explaining to people when I talk about libertarianism and anarchy is like it's messy. It's very messy.
Yeah, but it updates so much faster, which is the benefit, you know, and I was
But
talking to
I embrace the mess. I want the mess because then I get to really make my decisions.
yeah, exactly, and that's where I was sort of fighting with Stuart Sims in that last episode. He seems to think that free markets have a scaling limit, like you only can handle so many people before the whole thing breaks down. I'm like, dude, like no, like we have the ability to update. You know, it's like if you've got a shithead, because he calls it the monkey problem. Like, yeah, it's a real thing. You got some shithead up there. and then he controls everything, and you're fucked. Well, in a market, like you can just take your business elsewhere. Somebody starts acting like an asshole, go to the competitor, and the competitor is going to number one point out all the ways the guy's being an asshole. He's like, this is
Yep.
the way this company's ripping you off here, 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 and here. Here's how we're better. Come with us. And there's a company C over there that's pointing out both of these people. And you can then see pretty clearly. It's like, oh, I see all the trade-offs. I see the risks. I see the picture becomes painted at that point. It's like, I got some options. And if I try something and it's not working out for me, I'd like to cancel my service. Well, try that with the government.
Right.
How do I opt out of this fucking thing, man? Like you can't. Like I would much rather have these micro updates. And yeah, it's gonna crash into the wall, and there's gonna be some shit that happens. There's gonna be some fraud that happens. Guess
Sure.
what? It happens now, and it happens in a massive scale and in a way that you can't do anything about it other than what's prescribed in the Constitution, which is well, you better arm up and go start shooting people. Is like that's not a great option. I'd prefer just to
Try.
cancel my service.
Try and have any organized resistance and see if it doesn't get shut down in 2 seconds. It's everything's infiltrated. There's no way.
Yeah, boy, J6 really drove that home. I think that was a really important turning point in America where it's like it was I was so pissed because people like you had the momentum, you had the opportunity. It was like, hey, maybe we just, do the thing. And then they like, oh no, we're peaceful. We do like and then the government learned from that. It's like, oh, okay, okay, we're gonna make some examples out of people. Now everyone is
Yep.
sitting around is like literally Epstein shit going around, and all of us are looking at each other like, "Is anybody going to do anything about this?" And everyone's like, "Wow, shit! I saw what they did last time. I don't want that to be me." And everyone's got that prisoner's dilemma. We're just sort of stuck in this state of paralysis. And it's like, and the government's just asking us, like, "What are you going to do about it?" Yeah, so we're not
Yeah.
releasing, 3.5 million pages of the Epstein files. What are you going to do about it? And everyone's like,
Yeah.
nothing. The answer is nothing. And that's terrible because I think Donald Trump's emboldened by this now because he's the kind of guy who wants to be like, what are you going to do about it? And the answer is resounding, just absolutely nothing, sir. Do whatever you want. It's fucking wild.
Yeah. Bomb some more innocent people, please. Take more of my money, please.
I think, dude, I think he's intentionally crashing the dollar. I posted about this earlier today. I really think this is
He
meant to finally put the last, nail in the dollar coffin and bring about the CBDCs. I think this is a setup.
I think he is. He even said to the point he said for America to be competitive to trade, the dollar needs to be weaker. Like, he's outright said it, and I think he's flying the plane right into the cliff on purpose when it comes to that.
Well, unfortunately for him, he's retarded and doesn't understand monetary policy. He doesn't understand
There
that
is
that
that.
that we're getting this weird state now, particularly with all the geopolitical jet fuel he's sort of poured all over the world and lit on fire. Is that people don't want dollars, man. Like everyone sees, we just crossed $39 trillion in debt. Everyone in the whole
Oh,
world sees that it's not slowing down. It's picking up exponentially. It's getting worse. And everyone's like, yeah, am I really going to hold a 10-year treasury note? Am I going to hold, a 30-year treasury note? Like, well, what's a dollar going to be worth in 30 years when you're paying me back, the money that I've lent you? Like, nobody wants to be in bonds. And there was a time where, yeah, you could just turn on the money printer, you could slam interest rates to zero, but the market isn't having it. The demand for
yep,
dollars isn't there. And then people don't realize, like, you can Zimbabwe your way through this, and all of a sudden everyone's a trillionaire, but the way this scam kind of worked is a couple of things. One is exporting our inflation because we had the OPEC deal, and you had to actually convert all of your currencies into US dollars in order to buy oil on the open market. That's the deal that we had with Saudi Arabia. And so we've been exporting all that inflation. And the other thing is like the market is the buyer of bonds for the most part. Foreign governments,
yep,
institutions are buying these bonds, and they buy them because they've historically been somewhat stable. They could get like, yeah, it's a shitty little return on investment, and I'd get, a little something back, but at least it was safe. And now they're like, dude, like we don't want to be in bonds. This is absolutely not safe. So what that's doing is the market is demanding a higher rate of return. That's why we're seeing this sort of inversion now, where
yep.
the interest rates are going up. And even as they're starting talking about easing and printing more money, it's like the market's like, whoa, whoa, whoa! You turn on the printer. I see what you're going to do. You're going to pay me back with dollars that are going to be worth way less than when I lent them to you. I need a higher rate of return, and that spiral is going to go out of control. Like I said, I think he's going to crash the entire fucking thing.
I don't doubt it. I really don't doubt it, and I feel pretty helpless about it because there's nothing I can do. In the meantime, like sure you can buy gold, sure, but unless we move off grid and build a self-sustaining compound and have a commune and not fuck each other's wives, that's the only way to do this.
Look, are you gonna join my cult or what, Jake? Come on.
I've been saying this for a decade plus to my family. I'm like, look, let's go buy 30 acres. Everybody gets their corner. We'll build your house, community garden for all of us, community shop with tools. We'll raise some livestock. Let's do this whole thing. And everybody's like, "Nah, you're crazy, dude. Nah, I'm not doing that.
Nah, that's a great fucking idea. That's exactly what we're doing. So,
I
yeah.
I, I need to."
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I think that we're getting that stage where it's time to become self-sufficient. The people that aren't, when the chain shocks hit, it's gonna be. Remember, people. It's so funny. We went through this with COVID.
Oh yeah,
In 2 weeks, everything broke down. Now imagine a government failing, the currency failing, not be able to transact in anything. Like this is going to be really bad, and it's going to be really sharp. And there's not going to be anything the government can do to support it. You can't print your way out of that situation. When the currency collapses, the government starts falling over. There's not a lot of intervention at that point. Just people are just going to die. They're just
but to
the
your
way it's going to
point,
be.
the CBDCs are going to be their answer. That's
I,
going to be their solution.
I think you're right. I think it's going to be pushed in this term. I can't see how it gets beyond this because his actions have been so inflationary. Like think about just we're going to set all of the natural gas and all of the oil in the entire world on fire and then stop it from moving through the strait.
Yeah, right.
Yay, like that's the most inflationary thing I can fucking think about, and so I think that this just might be him just like, "I'm gonna torch the whole thing, and here's your central bank digital currency, brought to you by Palantir.
Right.
Enjoy, folks."
And your optic retinal scan.
Dude, it's so bad. So fucking bad, dude.
It is, and I got kids coming into this world.
That's a heavy burden, man. That's a
Well, I may end up building that compound yet. I don't think I can do it on the West Coast, and I've got family here where we're moving to here in Oregon. So
I
for the
think you
short term,
could. Do you know Sonia Fentesh?
no.
Oh, she goes by Sonia Agora online. Follow her. She's in Oregon and she's an agorist and she's like butchering her own shit. Like she got a gory ass Twitter account, but she's like all about this off-grid living, trading and exchanging with people like non-fiat currency. Yeah, so you can do it in Oregon, man. And if you want to know how, talk to her. She's a badass. She's been on the show.
I do. I'll have you shoot me her contact because I want to dive into that for sure.
Yeah, shout out Sonia. She's awesome.
Oh shit. Oh, I thought I lost you for a second.
No, no, I'm thinking I just wrapped up a couple of thoughts. I'm trying to figure out where we go next, man. Well,
I
what else?
got. I'll give you my spooky story while you're thinking about that.
Yeah, do that.
So I had a spooky story that happened to me. I didn't see anybody outside a window or anything like that. It wasn't there was no visual creature thing, okay? So, um, it goes back, I don't know, 20 years or so, right? Um, no, longer than that because I was only in my early 20s. So, my parents I'm the oldest of 4. My parents got divorced. I had been out on my own. Um, my dad is like, "Hey, your mom and I are getting divorced. I'm gonna go rent this house. You guys want to be roommates?" Like my brothers and I were like, sure, no problem. Like, well, dude house. Well, might as well have a roommate if dad's there, whatever. So we got like this 4-bedroom house. The bedroom that I ended up with, um, at random times, never when I was in the room, I would come back from being at work. I would come back from somewhere, and there was a giant wet spot on the bed. And it wasn't, it was water. Like there was no, it wasn't bodily fluid. There was nothing. No, I thought my brother was
Sure.
pranking me at first. Like, nothing. It was just wet spots. I'd change the sheets, it'd go away, whatever. And there was no like, it didn't happen every Tuesday. It didn't happen in the morning. It just would randomly happen. And it happened enough times where I was like, this is the ceiling's not leaking, nothing, there's no plumbing issues. Like something is happening that's making this spot wet. It was the same spot every time. So we ended up moving out of that house. I was getting married at the time. So I we moved out, got our own place, whatever. My dad ends up meeting this woman, starts dating her, and just by crazy happenstance, it turns out that she was the tenant in that house before my dad met her, like before we rented it. They didn't know
Mm.
each other at the time. It was just one of those things like, oh, I live over here. It's like, oh, really? I used to live in that house. It's so many, however many are available for rental. It's probably not that crazy, right? So we're sitting there bullshitting one night, and she's like, "What about that room that gets the wet spot?" And we're like, "What?"
Oh, damn.
And she's like, "Yeah, it happened to my son. My son had that room. Same thing. No rhyme, no reason. Random times a day. There's just this wet spot would appear." She goes, "Until we finally moved out of that house." I'm like, "Fuck, that was a crazy thing to have, like, to think about, right?" Like, it happened to somebody else. It wasn't just me, but there was no, danger, but it was just one of the spookiest things I've ever dealt with.
So you didn't have, like, any, like, weird feelings in that room or anything? Or, like, when you saw it, did you have, like, that kinda
I did get like a weird tingly, yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. But
man.
nothing I could, explain or like rationalize ever.
So that's the only thing that's ever happened to you that's, in the spooky realm or unexplained realm?
Yeah, and there's okay, so like the Queen Mary ship in Long Beach, right?
Yeah,
It's
I've been on
permanently
it.
done. It's completely haunted, supposedly. My band played some shows on the Queen Mary back in the day. I wanted to get hotel rooms on the ship because I heard it was haunted. I was like, let's do this. I want to see how this goes. There's certain rooms they will not let you in. Um, but all of the places that you're supposed to walk through and feel like a thing, I never felt a thing. Like I tried to go there and like experience something, never felt a thing.
I did the same
And
thing.
and
The Hotel Del Coronado in or San Diego is the same
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
and I rented the room. It's like the haunted room, like, I rented it, and it just is a hotel room, like, that's literally
right,
nothing.
right. No, I've always like I'm not able to be hypnotized. Like all of those kind of supernatural things, like just don't register with me. But that one weird thing about having this wet spot and then to find out that the previous tenant dealt with it too, and that we ended up like that was the part that kind of made me feel like, oh, this is really kind of eerie. But again, there was no danger. It wasn't like I heard voices or saw people outside the window. It was just that weird thing.
That's like the lamest ghost of all time.
Right? Just pisses your bed and
Just
leaves.
what the fuck is going on in the world, man? That's wild. I gotta
Right?
have some more, man. Like, I wanna move out to Eastern Tennessee. That's where things get super spooky. You get out to the legit Smoky Mountains and stuff, like, that's no joke. I don't know if you've seen a lot of the videos that are coming out of there, but there's people have had some wild experiences up there.
No, I interviewed, Hank Williams III one time, and he's got a big ranch outside Nashville, and he calls it, I think, the Spooky Ranch or something, and I never gave much thought to that, but now that you're telling me, like, that area, I'm like, "Oh, maybe there's something to it." No, I don't know anything about it. I mean, I've been fascinated with Appalachia. I always wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail. I
I
always wanted to
would
hike the
never.
Pacific Crest Trail. But I can't remove myself from my life and my obligations long enough to ever go do that. Um, but I've been fascinated with the history of that area, the people in that area, the Wild Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. It's one of my favorite documentaries.
Oh, is that like the inbred family?
Yeah, I don't know if they're inbred, but they're crazy. Their dad like taught them how to live off the government, like how to. They all have like Social Security payments. They all have like disability. They're born and they have this like they
Oh my
do all the
gosh.
paperwork and they're on all the entitlements. Um, but like that area of the country, like there's some of the most like salt of the earth people that live there that are just the most amazing like homesteading types. I if I could get my wife to move to Massey's district, I would. She won't. She won't do it. Um, but yeah, I'm fascinated with that. It's one part of the country I've not spent a lot of time in. I've been to Nashville a few times. I flew there once just to see Deftones play and flew back to California. Um,
Oh,
I
man.
like the area. I like it. I've been to Memphis, but that's totally different.
That's totally different. Yeah, that's almost
Totally different.
Arkansas.
Yeah, I've never spent a lot of time like, from there, I spent time on the East Coast, but everything in between, the whole Appalachian area, I've never spent any time there, and I'd like to.
You should come out sometime, man. Like, there's so much cool stuff here. I was a little bit of a skeptic. Like when my manager at the time was like, "Hey, I want you to move out to Nashville." My wife and I had already been kind of looking for something to leave Seattle, but we hadn't thought about Nashville at all. And he's like, "All right, well, I'm just going to pay for your family to go out for a week. Just go do it, check it out, tell me what you think." And it was like I was like 3 days in. I was like, Where can I sign up? Like, just ship my stuff here. I love it. It's underrated with natural beauty, I think for sure. It's one of those things where like I lived, we were neighbors, man. Like I lived in Buckley, and I used to have Mount Rainier framing my neighborhood. Like I could just,
Yeah,
and that's beautiful. It's freaking amazing. And so I think
until it erupts.
my kids particularly, yeah, exactly. Then you're screwed. My kids particularly, they're just like they see a mountain now or anything that's like not that, and it's like, oh, that's kind of that's lame. It's like
Right?
no, dude. Like there's, like not everything has to be this giant snow-capped peak for it to be beautiful. I think Nashville does a lot of that. The granite, or sorry, the limestone bedrock stuff. If you've ever seen that around here, is beautiful. There's waterfalls fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Within an hour of Nashville, there's like 200 waterfalls. It's absolutely crazy. Uh, Most of them are pretty easy hikes. Just the natural beauty here is amazing. I'm in love with this place.
And isn't it a constitutional carry state too?
It is, yeah, you don't have to ask permission to do shit, man, just carry.
Yeah, and you left Washington in time because now they just passed that income tax is gonna creep in on everybody. So at
Yeah,
least
they're
you
just hitting the millionaires now.
sure.
Just 9% of, everything over $1,000,000 starts, becoming the government's property?
Sure, because they handled the stuff they already had so well.
Dude, Washington's such a mess, man. I heard, John Schneider bitching about that 'cause it impacts the Seahawks trying to recruit people to come out there. Because it used
Oh,
to
yeah,
be, "Oh,
yeah,
Washington's no income tax state," and now they're like, "Fuck that, I'll go to Florida."
yeah, for sure. It's gonna come to the same New York's doing the same shit in their own way. Like, it's all gonna come and then they're gonna stand there and go like, "What happened? I don't understand what happened."
But that's what they want, I was there for all of it. Like, when I was coming up with, I can't say what company I work for, but
Sure.
it was a big one in Seattle, and when it was sort of on the ascendancy, that, we had that, city council leader, Sawant, remember her?
Oh, yeah, Shama.
Yep, so she was a Marxist, literal Marxist, a whole bunch of people on the city council were, and the tech companies would be trying to do anything to bend over backwards to make them happy. And then what they found out was that there was nothing they could do. They were anti-capitalist. They wanted them to leave. And
Yeah,
they openly said, "We don't care if everybody is much poorer and worse off for it. As long as everyone is equally poor,
yeah,
they're happy."
they get
And
off
so
on that.
yeah, so all these companies started bailing out. They're just like, "We're out of here. We're not expanding here." I think there's some companies were bouncing over to Bellevue, which was a more business friendly climate. And then, obviously there's, just leaving the state. I think a lot of these tech companies push their jobs to a bunch of other locations around the country. And but they just sit there and be like, "Nope, let's just burn it all down." That state and that city in particular have just, they've
They
decimated
j
what used to be a beautiful thing.
absolutely did. They just passed a new, zoning rule too for housing in Seattle in the city limits. If you try and build a single family residence on a parcel, you have to build 6 units. You cannot build a single family residence in Seattle anymore. They
That's so
just passed it.
selfish, Jake. That's so selfish. Just built a
Has to be a
home for
s
yourself.
right? Has to be a 6 unit, and there's all kinds of different ways that they're classifying it. It's gotta be 6 unit this, 6 unit that. They never put parking in because if you drive a car in Seattle, you get punished. Like,
Yep.
their whole thing is they punish people who like to drive cars.
But it's so
It
dumb because their public transit is so fucking dangerous there. Like,
oh, it's
everyone
terrible.
is smoking fentanyl off of foil, and they're like, there's literal crazy people running around downtown. It is absolutely unsafe, and public transit, other than, like, the Sounder was cool. I used to take the Sounder from the Sumner station all the way to
Sure.
downtown, the King Street, and that was fine because it's, it's like that's the suburban train, but even the light rail is pretty bad. Like
Oh, it's full of needles and piss and crazy people, dude, I carry everywhere I go, I carry, and I got concealed carry insurance. I mean, I do everything I can to kinda watch my ass, but, I mean, I used to take the Sounder, go up to King Street, same thing, and sure, that was alright, but I mean, the state is going so far into debt so quickly to build more light rail and more shit that just homeless people are gonna go piss on and shoot up in. It's like, just keep doing that, keep throwing that money away. Oh, that's what the millionaire tax is for. Sure, okay.
Yeah, and it's so wild too because I've never seen, and this is one of the things that I love about Tennessee is that the cops here, like you know how I feel about cops. Yes, I don't have a high regard, but I'm like, these cops here are pretty great. Like they actually help people. They don't really give tickets that much. They're not like trying up in Washington, as you know, like they hyper focus on the law abiding citizens and they're gonna
Oh,
pull
yeah.
you over and find the shit out of you for every infraction they can. But if you're a crazy person, if you're a drug addicted person, like I don't know if people know this, but they were throwing boulders off of the overpass on
Yep,
I-5 downtown Seattle into people's fucking windshields and like
yep.
propane tanks. They were starting fires. And it's like this beautiful city with this gorgeous view of Puget Sound, and there's homeless encampments everywhere, and they would do nothing about it. You can literally be like doing something to a child on the street while you're shooting up meth, and the cops are like, "Have a good
Nope,
day, sir."
nope,
It's
but if you pay your
fucking wild.
taxes, they grab you by the ankles and shake you till everything stops coming out.
Yeah, that's what I hated about it. It was so sissified. Like the cops won't do anything to anyone who's a hardened criminal, but anyone who is just this regular dude just wants to be left alone, is paying taxes to support all of this bullshit. Like they're going to be on you like flies on shit, and they're just aggressive and mean, and they're
Yep.
nasty, and I do not miss that at all.
That's what I love about Buckley, though, is the cops in Buckley are not like that.
For
It's a
sure.
nice little small town, and, you know, you're right, like, you take Mount Rainier for granted because it's right there, and you just get so used to seeing it, like, "Man, this it's, like, picturesque on a clear day." Problem is there's not that many clear days, but when there
Yeah.
are, it's amazing to see, and, you know, we got a nice little kinda corner of the world where we're at because, you know, I work in Seattle all the time, my office is in Bellevue, so I'm around the Puget Sound and I'm in the shit all the time, but to be able to leave that and sure, it's creeping out farther and farther, but as I'm driving home, I just feel the stress melting off, like, out into the country, and sure, I'm close enough to Seattle if I need to get there, but, I'm out in the country. I joke around because I'm down here in Southern Oregon right now, and we'll be moving here full time, but I still have to go up to Seattle once a week or once a month for a week to handle all my clients and stuff that are up there. So I jump on a plane here. It's a 55-minute flight to SeaTac. And then the Uber ride home, because you know how the traffic goes north in the
Oh
morning,
yeah.
south in the afternoon. The Uber ride home from the airport is longer than my flight from Oregon to Seattle.
I don't miss that, dude. When I was commuting, sometimes it would be 2.5 hours if I'm
I don't
driving,
miss it
like,
at all,
s
not at all.
so terrible. But I will say, there was a time before we left. I think it's when we really decided to start thinking about moving, was when you know the Safeway that's right there on the 410?
Oh, yeah,
There's a bunch of crackheads back there. We called it the crackhead forest, like, literally
sure.
people living behind there, and I started seeing all of these homeless people. I got 3 daughters, man. They were young at the time. They're coming up to them in the parking lot and harassing him and stuff, and I was like, "Dude, if we," and you, because you know, the audience won't know, but you know where we're at. Like, this is suburbia. This
Oh, for
is
sure.
this is beautiful, nice, away from all the craziness. You're supposed to be, like, left alone and, like, dude, it was such
Nope.
a nightmare that it was like, we gotta do something. All right, dude. Well, I think we're about at time. I'm out of questions, and I don't think I have the mental energy because I'm fasting to start another thread. I'm gonna crap out. So why don't you tell everybody where the hell they can find you online, dude?
I am at Whiskey Smiles on X. It is the only social media I have. I don't have LinkedIn. I don't have any of that shit. Find me there if you want. If by Whiskey Podcast. I will say too before you go, like I'm watching this thing you're doing with this fast because I've always considered doing one. I don't know if I'd jump into 30 days first,
Definitely
but
don't. That's
But
That is medical advice. Don't do that, people. That's dumb.
no, I no, no, no. But I'm watching this and it's super inspiring, and I'm sure you're gonna do some recapping and stuff when you're done and kinda report some of the start and finish and stuff. I'm really looking forward to that, but
That's
man,
funny because
hats off to you, like,
I'm not
nothing but
measuring
credit.
anything. I didn't even weigh myself before and after. I was just I'm doing it for like just mental toughness and like you remember like, I was on the show talking about with Mark about kind of like falling off the wagon a little bit and getting into some bad habits and stuff. So I'm just like, no, I just gotta goggins the fuck up. I gotta get my shit together. It's just a good thing to do because it is a mental exercise. If you have enough body fat like I do, it's you're not gonna die. You know, it's just
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
can you push through it? Can you persevere? And I like the mental challenge because I do feel like I'm starting to feel like my brain's a little soft, like getting a little squishy. And so I'm like, let's just do this thing, man. I've done like 28 is the longest I've ever done before. I've never hit 30, so I'm like, fuck it, let's try 30.
Well, I'm watching closely. I'm rooting, cheering you on, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's so funny because I'm just kind of doing it, and I didn't realize that people are kind of like actually interested in it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, let's keep posting, man. We'll see where it goes, and hopefully, I don't die.
I like watching the monkey starve himself.
All right, man. Well, I will keep posting then, and I will maybe I'll start thinking about trying to put something together for the wrap, but I haven't thought anything yet. So anyway, dude, really a
Thank you,
pleasure, man.
man.
I had a great time. I would just jump on a call with you and just do this for free without pushing on a line. But I'm glad people got to hear the conversation. I think it was awesome. I think you're a smart dude. I love the podcast. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Yep, later, dude.